Have you ever just stopped and thought about how we got here? I mean, how we went from a couple of blinking dots on a screen to these absolutely massive, sprawling worlds we get to play in today. It's been a wild journey, and we're going to break it all down.
I mean, just look at this for a second. On the left, you've got a game from 1971. It's literally just a few white lines. On the right, a fully explorable 3D world from 1996. The jump in just 25 years is kind of mind-blowing, right? It totally changed what we even thought a game could be.
So yeah, that's the big question. How did that happen? How did this go from a little hobby in a university lab to a global phenomenon that's now bigger than Hollywood and the music industry put together? Let's get into it.
All right, so our story doesn't start in some big, fancy corporate boardroom. It starts in university computer labs, where the very first ideas of playing a game on a screen were just starting to flicker into existence.
Okay, so these are the absolute building blocks. It all kicks off with Space War at MIT, which was really just a passion project that spread like wildfire to other universities. That idea led to Computer Space, the first stab at actually selling a video game. But then 1972 becomes this massive year. The Magnavox Odyssey brings gaming home for the first time ever, and then this little game called Pong comes along and basically lights the fuse for the entire industry.
So Computer Space was maybe a little too complicated for people at the time. But Atari's Pong? Oh, it was genius. 2 rectangles and a dot. That's it. Anyone could understand it in 2 seconds, and it was so addictive. It just exploded in bars and arcades and proved, without a doubt, that people were hungry for this stuff. This was the Big Bang.
Okay, so the arcades are a certified hit. The next logical question for everyone was, how do we get this magic into people's living rooms?
And this was the machine that cracked the code, the Atari 2600. Now, its biggest innovation wasn't the joystick or even the cool wood grain paneling. It was the game cartridge. For the very first time, you could buy one console and then keep buying new games for it. This idea of building a library of games was totally revolutionary, and it set the standard for home gaming for decades. But when something grows that fast, it's usually not very stable. That explosive growth was a bubble, and it was heading straight for a cliff. The whole industry was about to experience a near-total collapse.
Yeah, Atari's success created a total gold rush. All of a sudden, dozens of companies were jumping in, just flooding the market with consoles and games, trying to get a piece of the pie. The problem was, there was zero quality control.
So what went wrong? Well, it was a perfect storm. First, the market was just oversaturated with too many consoles. Then you get this flood of really bad, low-quality games. So people just stop buying them, right? And when people stop buying, the stores get nervous and stop stocking them. You throw in some new competition from home computers, and the whole system just imploded.
And if you need one single image to represent the entire crash, this is it, Atari's ET game. They rushed it out in just a few weeks to make it in time for Christmas, and it was an absolute disaster. It became the symbol for everything that had gone wrong.
It was so bad, so legendarily awful, that this isn't an urban legend. It actually happened. Atari took truckloads of unsold ET cartridges out to the New Mexico desert and just buried them in a landfill. It's the perfect, tragic symbol of the industry's total collapse. The party was officially over.
So just when it seemed like home consoles were just a flash in the pan, a failed fad, a hero arrives from Japan. A company that wasn't just going to save the industry, but completely redefine it.
And here it is, the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES. Now, Nintendo was smart. They looked at exactly why the Atari market crashed and did the complete opposite. They had their famous seal of quality. If a game wasn't good enough, it didn't get released, period. Led by an absolute system seller like Super Mario Bros., the NES single-handedly rebuilt people's trust and brought the entire market back from the dead. But Nintendo's comeback didn't go unanswered. Another Japanese company, Sega, decided to jump into the ring, and that's when we got the first great console war. It was a total clash of philosophies. You had Nintendo and Mario on one side, representing quality and family fun, and on the other, you had Sega and Sonic the Hedgehog, who was all about speed, power, and attitude.
And this picture just perfectly captures the battle. You've got the 8-bit NES, the champ that resurrected the industry, versus the sleek, black 16-bit Sega Genesis, which was all about technical superiority. Their slogan was literally, "Genesis does what Nintendo don't." If you were a kid back then, you had to pick a side. This rivalry was everything.
But the next big change wasn't just going to be about more bits or faster mascots. No, the next leap forward was about adding a whole new dimension. Literally.
So this was a huge technical jump. We're moving away from 2D sprites, those flat little characters that just move left and right. The new consoles could build entire worlds out of 3D polygons in real time. This meant you could actually explore a space, up, down, forward, back. It was a game changer for immersion.
And right as this revolution is kicking off, a brand new player enters the arena. A huge one, Sony. The PlayStation was a beast. It used CDs, which was a massive deal. Games could now have huge cinematic cutscenes and CD-quality music. Plus, Sony's marketing was just brilliant. They aimed it at teens and adults, making video games feel cool and mature.
Nintendo's response was the Nintendo 64. Now, they stuck with cartridges, which was a little controversial, but the machine was a 64-bit powerhouse. And the games were legendary. Super Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time didn't just bring beloved characters into 3D, they basically wrote the rulebook on how 3D games are supposed to control and feel.
But in the end, the sales numbers tell the tale. The original PlayStation became the first home console in history to sell over 100 million units worldwide. It was an unbelievable success. Sony didn't just join the market, they completely took it over, making PlayStation a household name for generations to come.
And that really brings us into the modern era. This is where gaming breaks free from the living room TV and becomes this connected, always-on part of our daily lives.
So, 3 big things made this happen. First, online multiplayer. Services like Xbox Live made it standard to play with and against people all over the world. Gaming became social. Second, the mobile revolution. The iPhone's App Store basically put a powerful gaming device into everyone's pocket. And third, streaming. Platforms like Twitch made watching people play games a massive spectator sport, creating a new generation of stars.
The result of all of this evolution? It's just staggering. Just look at this chart. By 2020, the global games industry was making more money than the global movie and music industries combined. Let that sink in for a second. It has become the biggest entertainment medium on the entire planet.
So we've gone from a few scientists fooling around with thoughts on a screen to a multi-billion-dollar global culture that connects billions of people. It's been an absolutely incredible ride. So the only question left is, what's the next level? Where do we go from here?